It's time to press the rewind button on life. Remember sitting in front of the TV criss-cross applesauce, mom and dad nearby with a bowl of popcorn while the family watched Jim Anderson lovingly encourage his family to make the right and moral choice. Always, as the title claims, and Robert Young's honest portrayal proves, father knows best. Now, back to the present. This leaves the question: what does Bud or Little Kitten look like today? Another question. For a sitcom so idyllic and wholesome, why did Billy Gray, who played Bud, regret his part in this fictional family? Lauren Chapen as Kathy Anderson. Born May 23, 1945. Kathy Anderson, known also by the nickname Kitten, is the youngest of the family. Adorable yet clueless, she embodied simpler times for all ages as soon as time starts taking effect. Lauren Chapen first began acting in 1952, following her two older brothers Billy and Michael into the limelight. Her father knows best job was what gave her stardom, but she was already in the midst of abuse. In an interview with Regis and Kathy Lee, she discussed her autobiography. She was sexually abused by both her father and his friend, a man referred to as her uncle, and her troubled childhood was shoved aside when she got to set. And the young girl had a job to complete. There wasn't much love directed at poor young Lauren Chapen. On top of that, when it came time to move on from Father Knows Best, she couldn't find work. She had been typecast as Kitten Anderson, and her unsuccessful job hunt made her mother drink more. And soon, as Lauren says, I became an incorrigible child. Additionally, she married at the young and illegal age of 16 and was then divorced by 18. She became a drug addict and was sent to a psychiatric institution after she attempted suicide. In addition to using drugs, she sold them too and was later arrested in Hollywood, California for forging a check. Lauren was in and out of jail for years. When acting roles failed to come, she worked as a flight attendant, dog groomer, insurance claims examiner, car hop, and cocktail waitress. These days thankfully she is clean and made a bit of a comeback in 2016 when she was a part of the series School Bus Diaries. At 80 years old, she is an ordained minister and manages singers and actors while also performing herself. In a live, interactive version of Father Knows Best for conventions and other events. Jane Wyatt as Margaret Anderson. Born August 12, 1910. Margaret Anderson is the homemaker and matriarch of the family, who brought realism, devotion, and strength to the household. She provided a wonderful counterpart to Robert Young. The role rewarded actress Jane Wyatt with 3 consecutive Emmy wins for the show's final 3 seasons. Jane began her career on both the silver screen and Broadway, with her first film being 1934's One More River, though most people first remember her from Frank Capra's incredible 1937 picture, Lost Horizon. Fun fact: a Denver eccentric millionaire built a mansion replica of the Shangri-La from this film, which still stands today. However, her film career began to suffer after speaking out in opposition to Senator Joseph McCarthy, the chief figure in the anti-communist investigations and subsequent blacklisting that occurred. Many artists found themselves in the crosshairs of the Second Red Scare, including Lucille Ball. Jane ended up in a similar situation. She was temporarily derailed for having assisted in hosting a performance by the Bolshoi Ballet during the Second World War, though it was at the request of President Roosevelt. But for a time she returned to the stage to keep working. But in 1954, Jane was ultimately tasked with replacing Ellen Drew after the pilot of Father Knows Best. After this, she continued rocking TV, even reuniting with her old television spouse in the season 5 finale of Marcus Welby, MD. She even played Spock's mother in a 1967 episode of the original Star Trek and reprised it for the 1986 film. Her final prominent role was an arc as Catherine Auslander, Norman Leod's wife, on the medical series Saint Elsewhere. Wyatt retired from acting after suffering a mild stroke in the early 90s. But she recovered well and remained in good health for the rest of her life until passing away in 2006 at the ripe age of 96. Robert Young as Jim Anderson. Born February 22, 1907. Jim Anderson is the patriarch of the family and works as an insurance agent. But his most important work comes at home, where he does all in his power to give his family a good life. Because, after all, Father knows best. This wise and understanding dad was played by Robert Young, who made his sound film debut in the 1931 Charlie Chan film The Black Camel. From 1928 until the mid-1950s, Young acted in over 100 films that hovered around Tier B status. These B movies were also known as programmers, which only required less than a month to shoot. Of those contracted MGM films, his most unexpected and rewarding came in 1941 playing Harry Pullum alongside actress and inventor Hedy Lamarr in H.M. Pullum-esque, where he gave a very fine performance. A few other standouts include Alfred Hitchcock's Secret Agent in 1936 and the tense Nazi drama The Mortal Storm in 1940. Co-starring Jimmy Stewart, the film apparently irked Nazi leader Adolf Hitler with its strong anti-Nazi sentiments. So Hitler banned it and began a pattern of banning all MGM films from that point until the end of World War II. Robert Young was a prototype film actor before he jumped right into the deep end of television with Father Knows Best, and it would not be a stretch to say Young made the show. Having won 2 Emmy Awards for Jim Anderson, out of 4 nominations, his final acting role was once again putting on that white doctor's coat for the Marcus Welby TV movie, A Holiday Affair, in 1988. Despite being so sure of himself on screen and offering sage counsel, the man himself suffered from depression and alcoholism for much of his life. This even led to a suicide attempt in January of 1991. Thankfully he survived, because he helped pass the 708 Illinois tax referendum, which established a property tax to support mental health programs in his home state. The Robert Young Community Mental Health Center is named after the actor, who used his platform and personal struggles to speak on the importance of mental health. The kind actor ultimately passed away of respiratory failure in 1998 at the age of 91. Elinor Donahue as Betty Anderson. Born April 19, 1937. Betty Anderson, known as Princess, is your typical teenager. But since it was the 50s, it was all rosy and she was radiant, if sometimes a little too perfect. Seasoned child star Elinor Donahue, just like TV mom Jane Wyatt, took over from someone else. Elinor came in to replace Sally Fraser after the pilot. Seasoned might not be adequate enough to describe her experience. The girl was tap dancing at 16 months, and by age 5 had a contract with Universal, fresh from radio and vaudeville. Elinor's first film was Donald O'Connor's Mr. Big, but she never got her share of the spotlight until she put teenage angst on the television with Betty Anderson. Immediately after Father Knows Best, she played Andy Griffith's initial love interest, Ellie Walker, for the first season in Mayberry. Afterward, things slowed a bit, until she landed the role of Tony Randall's girlfriend in the popular 70s TV version of The Odd Couple. Playing Miriam Welby, she played Kate Honeycutt for 2 years of Days of Our Lives in the mid-80s, and then in the mid-90s portrayed Rebecca Quinn on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. You'll also likely remember her friendly Bridget in 1990's Pretty Woman. Elinor's final acting role was Judge Marie Anderson on The Young and the Restless in 2011. Today, Donahue is 88 years old and has added author to her credentials. As in 1998, she published a memoir entitled In the Kitchen with Elinor Donahue. Billy Gray as James Anderson. Born January 13, 1938. James Anderson, also known as Bud, is the archetypal wisecracking teen who often went to dad with some misguided notion, only for father to guide Bud back on track. Father really does know best. His actor, Billy Gray, was acting professionally by 5 and was in Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer. Boris Karloff in 1949 along with his acting mother, who obviously played a big part. Bud was a studio kid, even being educated by teachers hired by the film studios by attending classes intense on set. One of Billy's final acting roles was the 1971 horror action flick Werewolves on Wheels. But he took some time off after because it sparked a new love for the actor, racing. He competed in speedway motorcycle racing throughout the 70s, 80s and 90s. His bike was known as the Orange Blossom Special. This high-speed junkie also made music history by inventing the F1 guitar pick. And today at 87 years old, he lives in Topanga, California, and is a motorcycle collector and businessman.